I've worked with addicts who are flipping out. They want to go drink or they want to go use. And I'm like, all right, I'll get you high right now. Lay down. And they're like, what? Lay down. We're going to do some breath work. Shut up. Listen, just do it. And let's see what's on the other side of it. And they do it and they come up and they are completely different. They are completely calm. And they're like, oh my God, that was amazing, man. I'm like, wait, you're English?
The Leah Renee Podcast.
I love it. I love it.
This is my interview with John Paul Crimi, and I recently did one of his breathwork classes. He's an incredible human being, has a great story about his struggles with alcohol, working with A-list Hollywood actors on breathwork, and is just a phenomenal human being. We had such a great chat, and I know you'll love it. Okay, I have so many things that I could talk to you about that I'm not even sure where to start. I think it's customary to give a little bit of a backstory. So you kind of mentioned that about what brought you to breathwork, but I am curious how you got started in it.
Matthew Perry from Friends was a dear friend of mine. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was a very close friend of mine. You know, we were hanging out a lot, and basically the short version is that some girl took him to a breathwork healer guy, and he told me about it, and I was like, dude, that sounds like bullshit. That sounds like he was asphyxiating you or some garbage nonsense. And he's like, well, you're my only friend who's open-minded enough. Doesn't sound like I'm open-minded right there, but you're my only friend who's open-minded enough to try it, because I had just done Tony Robbins' seminar. I had met Tony Robbins and done his seminar, and it was life-changing. So I was really open-minded, trying all this different shit. And he goes, I bought you a session with this guy. So I was like, all right. So I went and did some breathing stuff with this weird healer guy. And it was not the breathing that I teach today. It was totally different. Okay. But what that did is it had a huge impact on me. It sent me down a rabbit hole of trying all these different breathwork things. And I found this style that I teach today, and I started doing it every day, and it started changing me. And people were like, dude, are you medicated all of a sudden? Like, you're present, you're happy, what's going on? Even Matthew noticed a difference. And I was like, I'm doing this other breathwork. And he was like, show me. And so this woman asked me to do a class at her fitness studio, and I had never taught a class before. I had been doing one-on-one trainer for years, sober companion for years. I said, I don't know if I could do a class. And she's like, you'd be amazing at it. Just come on. So I did a class, and Matthew came to one of those first classes, and he was like, this is your gift, buddy. I know you want a TV show, but like, this is what you're supposed to do. This is your gift. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to be the breathwork guy. And a couple years later, the class was sold out, a couple hundred people, all kinds of celebrities in there. And Matthew came, and he was like, I told you this was your gift.
That is insane.
Yeah.
When did you accept that it was your gift? How was there a moment, or was it just a gradual thing that you kind of had it on the side and then it got bigger, and then one day you woke up and went, wow, I haven't done. Were you an actor? Is that what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I started out as an actor when I did theater when I was young, and I went to Los Angeles in my early 20s, and I studied method acting, and I did Groundlings, and I did all the scene study. Yeah, I've studied it all. And then I got alopecia, which is hair loss. I lost all my hair, right, in my 20s, and it was pretty devastating because so much of my self-esteem and self-worth was wrapped up in my looks, sad to say, because I was also a fitness model. And so that all went away, and I decided to become a writer. So I was a screenwriter for a decade and wrote comedy for a decade.
Wow.
And so I'm really comfortable in, with comedy and all that, that the whole world.
Yeah, you were very silly in the class. I've done some clown workshops and stuff in addition, and kind of that no regard, that I don't care. I'll be an idiot on your behalf, and kind of saying the things that maybe we were thinking. You said something when you got on the ground, like, oh, that guy's belly is big, or, you made fun of yourself in some kind of way, and kind of like, oh, but it instantly brings down our walls when you're like, this bald guy, what, like that that's clowning, is learning to reverse being laughed at, because we're so prone as kids. I don't want to get laughed at. I don't want to, and clowning is, I want to get laughed at. Do you like when I flare my nostrils? Do you like when I, when I fall down? And so there was a lightheartedness that I think maybe I needed sometimes when people feel like they're up their own arse. Maybe I couldn't have taken it from, like, you do have a gift, at least from comedian to comedian. Like, I appreciated the realness of the experience.
Well, I'm doing everything I say in my presentation. I make it seem like lighthearted, offhanded, whatever, but it has a purpose. And I'm talking about generational trauma, and I'm talking about all kinds of heavy stuff. And so everybody, and I'm saying all this weird shit's going to happen to you. Your hands are going to cramp up, and you're going to be, freaking out. And so I'm trying to lighten it up a little bit, right? I'm trying to lighten the mood before we go into this thing where you're going to have this emotional release that feels like 20 years of therapy for a lot of people. So I'm purposely doing that, presenting it in a way like, let's lighten it up. Like, it is heavy and your mind will talk shit to you, but like, let's bring some laughter to it. Let's lighten the whole thing up. Let's laugh at ourselves. Right. Because
absolutely.
It's a lot. Well,
so much of our life is seriousness. And I think with my background in Mormonism, I was very strict and really had like a religious form of OCD called scrupulosity. And I had a sign on my little quote I put up on my wall, as if you could kill time without injuring eternity. So it was like every moment counted, every thought I had, that Jesus's team of angels with clipboards was writing everything down. And it was, and if I had a bad thought, you need to repent of that. If I did, if I forgot or I was rude to somebody or whatever missteps, I have to fix that. And so to be serious all the time, and we get so tense, and the lightheartedness. I had a recent revelation on why Mormonism is so seductive and why I stayed in it as long as I did. And to sum it up, I think because like in gambling, there's no ceiling. So Mormons don't believe in a heaven or a hell. I kind of am jealous of Catholics in that regard, because it's like, well, I'm not a murderer. Like, I'm not going to go to hell. Like, at least I'll get to, whereas Mormons have a tiered heaven. So no hell, but there's, economy, business, first class. And then within first class, there are 3 levels of that. It's like, if, how they have the GPA is 4.0, but when they started letting kids do AP classes, then it could be a 5.0. It's kind of like that. It's like, I have a 4.0, but you could have a 5.0, like, but I have a 4 point, like, I'm into heaven. Like, I was doing all the Mormon stuff. I should be in the top heaven, but can I be in the top of the top of the top heaven? And so just this constant striving, that now that I'm out of that, it's easier to let go of it. But
are the levels determined by how much money you donate, like Scientology?
No, that was a thing that frustrated me as a missionary, because I think people thought that we had a quota, like we had to, and that we got paid. That it very much feels like an MLM, but well, I guess it kind of is in the fact that you invest a ton of money in it and you don't get it back. But no, I always felt like the majority of the members that I knew were very wholehearted, kind, loving people. And I still feel that way. It is now the institution that I'm hard on, soft on people. So the way that it's run from the top, it's not so much about money, but there's a lot of nepotism, and Mormons would say it's not nepotism. God just put that person in that. Well, why are they all lawyers and businessmen that, all knew each other and worked with each other? And there's definitely this track. So the way that I started to find my way out of the Truman Show, as I say, was a friend had a life coach class, and there was a mug that said, "Don't believe everything you think." And up to that point, I took all my thoughts really seriously. Yeah. So over the past years, I've been more lighthearted. But what I thought was so interesting about your class is that I feel like a happy person. I feel like a healed person. My parents divorced when I was really little. I was 3 years old. And then my mother moved to Ireland, and my dad had custody of us. My brother and sister got into drugs and stuff. And, I feel like, I'm not saying I feel okay about it. Like, yeah, that was great. But it's in the past. I'm fine. It made me funny, that kind of stuff. But one night I was meditating, and this was like years ago. And I just had this, like, at the time I would have thought it was God. Now I don't know what I would call it, but like inner wisdom or something. It was something like, you've always been okay. Or I heard all of your cries and all of your prayers. And it just kind of came out of nowhere. I haven't felt that since your class. It was weird, because I came into it not being skeptical, because I know Pete Holmes has talked about it before. He talked in depth with another comedian about breathwork, and she mentioned that she had almost like a hallucination or something with her dad. And I remember being like, I'm not saying that it can't happen, and I'm glad that it did for them, but I don't really know. I don't know how it works. I think it's good for other people. I'd probably do it if I got the chance, but I already have Byron Katie and Joe Dispenza and meditation walks. That, it's like,
Yeah.
all right, let's add another thing to your schedule, which is what I did as a Mormon. I packed my schedule with all the, it's like, just, it's a loving universe. You don't like, if it comes to you, it comes to you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But some of the things that you said and just the way that the class progressed, all of a sudden I was just like this little girl being held, and I was safe, and there wasn't, and I'm like, but I'm not scared of things. And then it was kind of like, yes, you are, like I have been sad. Like it was insane. So that's kind of my first experience with it. What was it like for you? Was the first one, I mean, you said the first one is like, sometimes you're just totally crying and it's crazy. Was yours really dramatic or?
Yeah, yes, it was, but it wasn't as great as the class you took, which makes me sound like an egomaniac, but like it the reason I say that is because I went and it was very new agey and woo woo, and the music wasn't great, and I didn't love the teacher, and there was like 5 other people there, and they were talking about spirit animals and all this fucking shit. I was like, what is this hell that I have walked into? Like, really? This is not for me. But the breathing technique and the experience that I had as a result of the breathing technique was incredible. And I had a release. I had an emotional release, and I cried in a way I'd never cried before. And I let go. The most common statement is, holy shit, that felt like 20 years of therapy without saying a word. And so I didn't like the class. I didn't like the music. I didn't like the people, but I liked the experience that I had from the technique. So what I did was I took that experience, I made my own playlist, and I started doing it on my own at home. And I started having these incredible experiences on my own at home. And then every once in a while I would go to a class and I'd be like, oh, that class was terrible, the teacher. But the second class I ever went to, I've never told this on a podcast, so this is kind of cool. The second class I went to,
deets.
the woman beside me sounded like she was having an orgasm, which happens in these breathwork classes sometimes, not usually in mine because of the way I teach, but now I probably just lost a bunch of people who are potentially going to come, but maybe, I don't know, maybe you can have an orgasm.
No, I wanted to be alone when I did it because I wanted to do whatever you asked us to do and not be like, oh, I didn't want any holding back. So I made sure my whole family was gone. I had the place to myself because you want to have that freedom to release or to breathe in the way that feels right for you. And I mean, so stick with us if you're turned off by the big O. You shouldn't be. It's great. It's healthy.
It's fine. But so it was so loud next to me that it was so distracting to me trying to focus on my breathing. So I started breathing really loud to kind of drown out the sounds of her orgasm. And the teacher came over to me and said, can you bring it down? Can you keep it down? I'm like, really? I'm the problem? Like me breathing loud is not okay, but the orgasm next to me is. I was like so annoyed by it. So anyways, I had a realization in one of my first breathwork sessions, like, this is incredible. Why doesn't everybody know about this? And I had a realization, which was, oh, it's been kept in these new age woo-woo circles, and people like me don't want to go to these things and deal with these people, and the music sucks and all these kind of things. It's a lot of judgment here that I'm throwing off. But, so I thought, I had just met Tony Robbins, and I thought if somebody did this kind of like Tony Robbins, but they brought an East Coast edge to it, they were funny, they brought in the science, they played cool music, they had a trainer, like I used to be a trainer. They had someone pushing you because you need to be pushed. And basically, if they did it, the class that I just did, that you just did, they did that class, they'd have hundreds of people in the room, maybe thousands of people in the room. That's what I had this epiphany about. And I was right. I started doing that class in that way, and people related to it. They identified with it. The class took off. I had, 150 people in it, and nobody had a breathwork class going with that kind of people, with that amount of people in it. And then, the celebrities started showing up. Owen Wilson came, and Will Arnett, and Matthew would show up, and like I'd look out in the audience and see like all these celebrities and supermodels. It was wild. And so that it just took off.
They would come to a packed class like that.
Yeah.
That's really vulnerable. I mean, I liked the fact that it was virtual. For anybody listening, I liked it because like Seinfeld talks about how comedians a lot of times will like to be alone because they're tired of being perceived, because as soon as you get to the venue, the minute you walk on stage for the hour that they're staring at you. And so it was like, I know I have it in me to be very performative. And especially with the first class, like I'm going to show these, I was going to say the P word. I'm going to show these people the way that it's done, and it's like, no, I just want to be make sure that I'm doing it for me and not. Yeah, that's incredible that they
Well,
that
the
they would
lights
go
get
not
turned
do a
off.
private one.
Sorry.
Okay.
The lights
Oh,
get
no, no,
turned
no.
off.
That's good to know.
The music's really loud. You know, like nobody can see you in the room. People could see them come in or whatever, but they wouldn't know. Everybody who's doing it's in their own thing. But it's funny
Okay.
that you say this because I knew that online breathwork would work. I was the first guy to start doing it online ever. This style of
Wow.
breathwork. And the breathwork is an umbrella term. It's like saying fitness. So, you know, it's confusing to some
Yeah.
people. People have done box breathing and they think we're talking about that. We're not talking about box breathing. We're talking about circular breathwork, conscious connected breathing, which is an intense way of breathing to clear out stress, anxiety, generational trauma. So I was the first guy to put this circular breathwork online. And some of the old school teachers pushed back against me. They were like, you can't do this online. And I was like, why not? They're like, it's not safe. I'm like, why? I was doing it in my house by myself. Like, what's unsafe about it? I actually think it's safer because someone's in their safe space at home, not around people. I think a lot of people, especially certain types of guys, are going to be able to let go even more online with nobody around them. And you don't have to drive afterwards. I can see people's names in the box. I can see people even better online if they leave their camera on, that they don't have to. So I found a way to do it online. And then guess what? COVID happened and everyone was online, and all those people who gave me shit, they all went online. And I was like,
Yeah, they all went, wait, what do you use? What kind of software?
yeah. What mic are you using? And I was like, wait, I thought you couldn't do this online. I thought this was unsafe.
Yeah.
Oh, only if it's the only way you can make money. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Wow.
so-
So you were pre-COVID with it. That's
Yeah,
great.
I'm kind of a pioneer in the online breathwork world. And I also put my teacher training. So I teach other people how to, lead this breathwork with my style, my method. I've certified over 3,000 people. And so I put my trainings online as well, too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm curious, as you were moving out of acting and into breath work, did it build gradually? And then it was like you hit a point where you realized, I haven't done any screenwriting for a while. Did you have a light bulb moment?
Yes.
Or was it kind of like a seed slowly growing and then one day a flower bloomed and you went, oh, wow, I'm here already?
I struggled with acting. And then when I lost my hair, I was like, I don't want to be in an audition with 20 other bald guys. So I started writing, and I had some really early, I don't know if I would call it success, but people liked my writing right away. I got an agent pretty fast, a manager, all the things. And I had a script that we went out with that almost sold for $1 million. And then that whole deal fell apart. And I ended up in development with some guys at Paramount. And then I ended up in development with Ron Howard and Brian Grazier at Imagine on another script. And so I was in development with all these big production companies. I had great movie ideas and I would pitch them and people would love them. And then I would just end up in development hell forever. And it it was awful. And it was so frustrating. And finally what happened was doing sober companion work, sober coaching work, and helping, rock stars and actors and all that kind of thing. And I was with Matthew Perry again. We were at the Kings game, and it just happened to be the season where they were going to win the Stanley Cup. And it's game 6. They were about to win the Stanley Cup, and we're in this little VIP room, and Vince Vaughn's in there, and Will Ferrell, and Zac Efron, and Matthew. And in walks Tony Robbins. And I turn to Matthew, and I go, holy shit, it's Tony Robbins. He goes, really? We've been following the Kings all season. They're going to win the Cup. And every actor in LA is in this room right now, and you're excited about a gigantic man. And I go, he's amazing. I had his book in high school. I had his tapes. And he goes, go tell him. And I go, no, I'm not going to be that guy to him. Like the way people bug celebrities that I've worked with. But I was walking back through the tunnel, and Tony looked up from his phone and he goes, hey man, how's it going? And I go, listen, I know everybody says this, but I don't ever actually do this. I love your work. I'm a huge fan. I've been following you since I was in high school. And he said, awesome. What's your name? What do you do? And we start talking. He goes, have you ever been to my seminar? And I go, no. He goes, I'd love it if you'd come next month to San Jose as my personal guest, VIP guest. And I go, get out of here. And he goes, no. He gave me his assistant's information. He comped me. I went to this thing, and it was at a moment in my life where I was really frustrated with Hollywood, with my life, with everything. And we did those moments, right? That I do in my class. I actually got those from Tony. And I had 2 epiphanies in the moments. One of them was, I'm done with Hollywood. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm just going to help people. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm done. I'm done with the struggle. And it was kind of a big release that I felt, letting go. And what I've learned now, what I've discovered now is sometimes you have to let go of your dreams that you've held on to for a long time so that you can step into your destiny of who you're supposed to be. The other epiphany was that I wanted to have children, and I'd never wanted kids. And I had this vision
Mm.
of this girl and this boy, this little girl and this little boy. And I came home from Tony Robbins and I told my wife, like, I was quiet for like 3 days, which has never happened before. And then
Mhm.
she got to speak, I think, for the first time in our relationship. And then I said, hey, I think I want to have kids. And she's like, what the fuck happened to Tony Robbins? And I was like, I don't know. I had this vision of this girl and this boy, and I'm done with Hollywood. And I think I want to have children. And it was like, wow. Okay. And then I found the breathwork shortly thereafter that. So it was like, I feel like
Oh,
the
interesting.
universe provided me the tool by which to help people, you
A
know.
bridge of incidents, as Neville Goddard would call it.
Yeah. So I was
Yeah.
doing Tony's work and then I was doing the breath work at the same time. And I was learning under these two different breathwork teachers and studying under Tony. And I just had this massive transformation and everyone around me noticed it. And people started asking me like, dude, what is going on with you? Like, why are you so different? Like, and I'm like, I'm doing this breathing thing. And then I just started helping people. Like, you know, I'd hear people in recovery go, I'm depressed or I'm angry or I'm this. I'm like, hey, why don't you come try this breathing thing with me?
So
Like,
you
maybe
were already sober when you started trying breathing,
yeah, I was like 12 years sober at the time.
which is so interesting because having gone to 12 steps myself, a lot of times people will have the experience that you're talking about when they start going to 12 steps.
Yeah.
This
Well, it
like
wasn't around
awakening
back
and
then.
stuff, but it's like your ceiling raises, you know, where you're at a certain level and then you find your way out of that cave and you're like, oh, this feels great. And then you look around and you're like, oh, there's a mountain. And then you get, you know, to the top of that and you go, no, this feels great. This is amazing. I'll be happy if I'm just here. And then you see another mountain. You just keep. We have an unlimited capacity for joy. And maybe sometimes where we get tripped up is where we go, yep, this is fine. And we stop questioning and we stop trying to find the thing that we're uniquely, I don't want to say qualified to do, but it is our heart's desire that maybe we didn't even know it. Because I'm sure I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm sure you felt better to an extent, at some degree, being sober. At least most people that I know that have gone through 12 steps and have stuck with it
Yes.
for long enough usually have a life-changing thing, but then to go through another kind of rebirth is, I think, pretty, to me, inspiring because
Yeah.
I feel like my life is great and things are going great. But then I did your class and I was like, whoa, there's still some junk down there. Like,
So
yeah.
that's
And
one
so
of the
for
most
people to
common
notice
things
it.
I hear, right? Is that people will come to my class and they'll go, okay, I've done all the 12 steps. I've done Tony Robbins. I've done Joe Dispenza. I've done all the therapy. I thought I was completely good. And then I did your class and I realized, oh, you still have all these things inside of you because that stuff is in your nervous system. The Tony Robbins, sometimes the therapy, whatever, that a lot of that works on the stories in your head, but it doesn't deal with this,
You're
with
thinking. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't deal with the things that are living in your nervous system that happen to you at points in your life. And some of your stuff, I say this in my classes, isn't even your stuff. Trauma is passed on through the DNA. Science has proven that trauma is passed on through the DNA. So some people are like, I don't know why I get depressed. I don't know why I have anxiety or whatever. Yeah, maybe it was your mom had something going on when she was pregnant with you or her mom. You know, it's passed on through the DNA. There's scientific studies out there that have proven this, that it's passed along. You know, a lot of people will come and they'll have these big emotional releases and they'll have these epiphanies in my classes because that stuff's living in your nervous system. It's living in your body. I thought I was good. And then I did breath work and I realized, oh my God, there's so many things in here that I didn't realize were still going on inside of me. And I had heard from people, even in sobriety, like my life got so much better in sobriety, but I was still out in the world, probably overreacting. I heard that from people at times, like, you're overreacting. I was like, no, I'm not. You know, like, you should get out of the fucking line at Starbucks. We've been standing in line for 20 minutes. You don't know what you want to order? Starbucks is the same all over the world. What you know, to get to the end of the line, you know, it's like, that has nothing to do with the Starbucks.
They used to call
guy.
it like a dry drunk that like,
Yes. Yes.
if you're in recovery, but you're still an a-hole, like
Yeah.
you're still trying to control things. You still don't.
I
mean,
don't know if
just
I was
kind
quite
of like,
a dry drunk, but I definitely had moments, you know, where I
Yeah.
would get triggered. And that's things that happened to me in my life coming up, a trigger, right? It's popular with the young people now, that word. We called it overreacting. But so things would come up and so now, because I've done so much breath work and I've cleared out my nervous system, it doesn't mean I don't get mad or pissed off or sad or whatever. It just means it's the appropriate amount of mad or the appropriate amount of sad or whatever it is. The emotion is right sized for what comes down the pipe, for what happens.
What does that look like to you in your head when someone cuts you off in traffic or does something rude or unexpected to you? What does it sound like in your head when something like that happens?
Well,
Or do you breathe, or how do you frame it to not overreact now? And it might just be a natural reflex that you have, and it might be hard to articulate it, but I'm curious how you respond to conflict or things not going your way now, as opposed to what you mentioned before.
It really depends on what it is in the situation. I mean, if it's someone cuts me off in traffic, people's natural reaction to that is to get angry because they're really scared, right? Anger is the mask that sadness or fear wears, right? And so I'm angry because you could have just killed me. You could have killed me and my kids with your stupid, what you just did there. That was really dumb, right? So I'm angry. I used to get very self-righteous about it. Like, I'm right. What you just did was wrong. And I need to prove to you that you are wrong, right? It's like that person's just going about their day. Has nothing to do with me whatsoever. I just take a breath and inhale through my nose, exhale through my mouth. It's not worth it. I'm not going to get out of the car because I have kids to raise and people get shot getting out of the car, and that person has nothing to do with me. What just happened there in that situation? Even when people directly do something to you, a lot of times it's really more about them than it is about you. Now you can understand that intellectually, but like living it is a whole other thing. So
yeah,
there have been situations where somebody really screwed me over, like for either, I got hacked and I lost a lot of money, a very significant sum of money, like a new car sum of money. And I was pissed and it wasn't my fault. So I lost all this money and there was nothing I could do about it. So that's a natural, like any human being, I think, would be like, what the fuck? I'm so, like, lose their mind. But what I did was I laid down and I did some breath work. And every time I get really upset about it, I was like, I don't want this to ruin my life. I don't want to take
the second arrow.
Yeah. I don't want to take this energy around my kids. I don't want to be the dad who's punching holes in the wall or screaming and yelling and bringing that energy to my house. So I just breathe. And when I breathe, I go, it's not going to change my lifestyle at all. Like, I still have money. I'm fine. Everything is in the big picture. It's still going to be fine. That's where breath work takes me, right? Like, it can be an argument with my wife. I can have an argument with my wife and then I can come up and breathe for 20 minutes and then I'll go down and apologize. I'll be like, I'm sorry. I have a shirt that says, I'm sorry for what I said before breath work, because oftentimes if you get into an argument, you're married, if you're married, you understand. And then you go like, you want to be right. I'm fucking right in this argument. And I want her to admit that I'm right. But like when I do breath work, I'm like, I don't have to be right. I want to be happy. I don't need to be right. So I let go of my need to be right in order to preserve my need to be happy and in love and enjoy, like you were talking about. So it's a real life tool to deal with real life problems. And I've worked with addicts who are like flipping out. They want to go drink or they want to go use. And I'm like, all right, I'll get you high right now. Lay down. And they're like, what? I'm like, lay down. We're going to do some breath work. Like, shut up. I'm like, listen, just do it. And let's see what's on the other side of it. And they do it and they come up and they are completely different. They are completely calm. And they're like, oh my God, that was amazing, man. I'm like, wait, you're English? I didn't even know. Like, it's a totally different person in front of me now. I've been dealing with their crazy representative for the last however long, 3 weeks, month, whatever. And it's a completely different person. And this is them before all the noise got in their head and before all the things that happened to them. It's like us at our essence, at our core when we were children and we just wanted to play and be happy and be loved. And we didn't care what people thought of us and we didn't care about any of that stuff. We just wanted to be happy.
Yeah, there's something very primal feeling about it. And honestly, it was funny in the emails that you sent prior to the class about how, no one's died from breath work. You're going to be fine. You might get, is it tetany? Is that how you say
tetany,
it?
yeah.
Tetany. And I remember reading that and being like, I was a college athlete. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be out. Like I'm a pretty like sturdy person, kind of this Swiss pioneer stock, raised by a single dad in the military. So I'm like, I got this. And I did not think the tetany thing was going to happen, but I remember thinking throughout the breath work and afterwards, this is like being on drugs. This is like when someone takes a drug and your body is doing stuff that you can't, because I've never had enough alcohol to lose my motor skills to the point where like I couldn't do this or anything. So the only thing that it physically reminded me of was one, when we were driving up through Vail, Colorado, I got altitude sickness and I didn't expect that would happen. And I was driving and I started feeling weird and I was like, we need to pull over. So we pulled over, my husband drove, and I was just like hunched over. And like my lips were going around my teeth, and it was just it was such a strange, and like kind of when you leave the dentist and one side is floppy and no matter what you do, you can't change it, or when your arm falls asleep, it was just so strange to see my body like, no, you're okay. Don't cry. I just had these like claw hands that I couldn't undo. It reminded me of that. And then when I had ovarian torsion years ago, which is basically ovaries or testicles, but they're inside, testicular torsion is when one of your balls gets twisted. So one of my balls got twisted, but because it's internal, you couldn't see it. And waiting in the emergency room while they treat me like I'm an addict just trying to get Dilaudid for free or something. But I was so much pain. And by this point, I had already given birth to a 10-pound baby in my kitchen with no pain medication. And I tried to explain to them, this feels worse than that. And they're like, I know, compassion fatigue, all of that, bless, like I'm sure the nurse had a long day, but she was like, if you don't stop breathing like that, you're going to hyperventilate. And I was like, yeah, I can't. So she's like, I'm going to have to give you a bag. I'm like, give me the bag because I feel like I'm going to die. And that breathing, that over and over and sort of, it's hard to say it was a lightheadedness because I was laying down. It probably was, but if you're sitting up, you would notice it. But if you're laying down, you don't feel like I'm going to pass out because you're already laying down. But it was so comforting to know I was going to be okay. And now I see why you said it so many times. Because I kept thinking like, what does JP think? I'm some kind of little fragile flower. Like I've got this. And I was like, no, like a few into it. I was like, just like, what's going on with my body? And it's like, you're going to be fine. Like relax into it. No one dies from this. I don't know how it works. And even like a skeptic part of me, I'm like, yeah, what your friend said, is this just making yourself hallucinate? Is this just, whatever? But if the benefit is good and there's not any harm, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, well, so I don't really care if it's bull crap. Like it was real to me.
It's real for sure. It's science. There's science behind it, which there wasn't when I started 15 years ago. I couldn't find the science, and now they've done a bunch of studies. Thank God.
So what's what are your talking points for the science thing? What do you tell the skeptics when they're like, "This is bullshit. You're just making people hyperventilate"? Like when we passed out when we were kids and saw stars.
Let me unpack some of the things you said before this, though, first. So,
okay, sure.
You said, I'm an athlete. I've done classes for Nike, and I've had a room full of like 300 athletes in there, and they get tetany the worst. So what I've discovered is athletes get it more so than other people because they're like, I'm going to do this like a workout. I'm going to do this like a boss.
Oh.
So because you're kind of pushing harder, because the technique requires you to, breathe like a workout, but you think because you work on the inhales, you have to work on the exhale, and you don't. And so you keep, but athletes tend to go, and they push on the exhale. And the more you push on the exhale, here comes the science, the more you throw off CO2. CO2 binds to the oxygen, which absorbs into your body. Okay. When you're breathing fast and hard and you're pushing the exhale, the CO2 doesn't bind to the oxygen. And that's what starts causing the muscles to cramp up on you. It's that simple.
Interesting. Okay.
When I found
I was
breathwork,
definitely like balls to the wall. Yeah, I was definitely like
of course,
like bone crusher. And it's like, isn't this for your soul? Like what? Why are you so
you could come again?
You're by yourself.
Yeah, you should come again and try and relax it a little bit more. When I found the breath work, all the teachers were like, I go, what's causing the tetany, the hands to cramp up? And they'd go, it's the moon, it's the stars, you're detoxing off weed. I'm like, I haven't smoked weed in 15 years. Like, it's not weed, right? And so I was doing sold out classes and I had a theory like all the people I saw with the tetany were exhaling extra hard, going super fast. So I brought in this woman from Harvard, a health and science researcher from Harvard Medical. And I said, here's my theory about people, like why the tetany's happening. And she looked into it and we watched and we observed. And she's like, yeah, that's what it is. It's the CO2. You're throwing off more CO2 when you're going faster, which binds to the oxygen, which causes the cramping if you don't absorb the CO2, if you don't absorb the oxygen. We need CO2 in our body. It's actually a good thing. That's what's happening. That's the science. So I was like, great. Now I can bring some science to this breath work, because it was all new age woo-woo stuff.
Yeah,
there.
it was Mercury rising or whatever.
Yeah, it was like, my joke is like, stop blaming your messy life on Mercury in retrograde. It's a mess because you made it that way. Like, clean your shit up. Like, I'm from Boston. Stop blaming it on the moon cycle, right?
Yeah, I wonder when you said East Coast, I was like, I wonder what part of the corridor of contempt John Paul is from. Philly.
Yeah,
so,
you're from Philly,
nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's where I live now, but yes, that's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now they've done research on the CO2 thing. Are there other things that you cite to skeptics in terms of the science, like bullet points where, one of them is that nobody dies from this thing. It's not like if you're laying down. So if you're afraid you're going to pass out, you can't hurt yourself. What are the other that you
can literally go
say to
and go into AI now and ask questions about this style of breathwork, circular breathwork, conscious connected breathing, and it will tell you some of the science and some of the things that have been proven around it. John Hopkins Medical in Boston did a study around veterans with PTSD, and they had incredible results helping these guys with PTSD. I personally, I'm not great at quoting scientific studies. I'll read them and then I'll be like, okay, that was, a lot. And then, so I'll just take bits and pieces that I like and put it in there. Like I talk about the transient hypofrontality, which means part of your prefrontal cortex can turn off in this incredible way. And what that is we're kind of shutting down our overthinking brain, our critic brain, and moving into our lizard brain, right? We have our lizard brain. And that's fantastic because I'm an overthinker. My wife bought me a shirt that says, hold on, let me overthink this, right? So I'm an overthinker and I just want to break from that. That's part of what the drugs and alcohol was about. I just want to break from my mind. I just want to feel numb. I want to put on Shine On You Crazy Diamond and just put on a Duraflame log on the fireplace and just drool on myself till I pass out. That's what I want to do a lot of the time.
Yeah, and escape.
Yeah, I want to escape. And so when I found breath work, I had this big emotional release and then it turned off my brain and it moved me into my heart, and it just like all the bullshit just went away, and it showed me what was really important, what really mattered in my life. It's kind of like a near-death experience. We're kind of inducing an NDE, near-death experience, where people go like, people have to have these near-death, they don't have to, the people have these near-death experiences, and then they go, you know what, all that shit that I was so worked up about, it's not important anymore. This is what's really important. This is what really matters. Breathwork does that almost every time you do it.
Yeah, I can see that. And that was maybe a question that I had because I think it was someone on Rick Rubin's podcast, some really smarty pants, famous, I don't know, academic, somebody, I don't remember who he was interviewing, but he said that when he was a kid, he liked when he got a fever because he got to stay home from school and he would have like fever dreams. And there is something about the brain at a certain temperature. And I think it might not prioritize prefrontal cortex like this, but that you get more down to your essence. And through the breath work that I did, I'm like, this kind of reminds me of the guy that liked fevers. Am I going to be the girl that likes hyperventilating? Because then I'm like, that's the only way I can shut down the chatty part of my brain and like return to center. Not the only way, but maybe like a quick hack to get back to that space, if that makes sense.
It does. And it is a hack, but you will breathe that way sometimes if you're exercising really intensely. When you start to do a really hard run, you'll start to breathe through your mouth. Certain sports like boxing or whatever, you'll start to breathe through your mouth. The same things don't happen. You don't have the same sort of mystical, incredible experiences and emotional releases because your body is needing that oxygen for the muscles because you're using it. However, when we do this circular breath work, we're laying down. We're not using that And
Yeah.
so that we're tapping into something. There's also something a little, I want to say a little woo woo, a little mystical about setting the intention of like, we're here to release some stuff. Your body will listen to what you tell it. If I lay down to breathe and set an intention like, hey, I want to let go of some shit. I want to let go of some old stories. I want to let go of some stuff. Just the same way your body will listen to you stressing out all the time and start to cause health problems. If you can stress yourself out so much that your eyebrows fall out, why can't you set intentions and do the work on yourself to heal your body as well?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that you brought up earlier that I really liked was the idea that, and sorry, woo-woo community, and I'm adjacent. I wouldn't consider myself full-fledged woo-woo, but like I do talk about woo-woo-ish stuff. But it's like a certain group of people will believe in astrology and crystals and breath work and cold plunge and incense and sage sticks. They kind of like will go into the whole package deal, and there's all this coded language within it. Even I would say manifesting is like a big, easy, simple example of like, I'm manifesting a trip to Europe because, but that's a big turnoff to a lot of people. But do you know who manifests more than anybody else to a religious degree are athletes?
Yeah.
They visualize and they know they have to do it. And there's all these studies about athletic performance and imagining you kicking that field goal or
and self-talk.
And so they know that visualization is huge, but we got all these crystal bitches making it hard on the rest of us. So with your
I feel like
your
that's
breath
also
work that you're trying to like keep it real, and you're like, no, it's not just for people that have a spirit animal. It's for people that have 3 pit bulls.
I feel like that's the same with conspiracy theories. Like if you just because you wonder why the 3rd building just fell down when no plane hit it, doesn't mean you think the Earth is flat.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because if you're like, I kind of.
But it's the way that with algorithmic suggestions and
like they all get lumped together.
Yeah, well, and somebody who's very, very interested in guns and protecting their land and stuff like that might also, there probably is a Venn diagram overlap that, Idaho should break off from, and Washington State or have you heard of Greater Idaho?
Yes, I'm in Oregon. I'm in Bend, Oregon.
Yeah, that's why I figured you'd probably heard of it. So they weren't interested in Greater Idaho at all, but because of different Facebook groups that they had been a part of, it just comes up as a suggestion, and they go, So somebody who likes manifest, blah, 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 then, oh, you might like this thing too. We just get further siloed into these little groups. And that's why maybe with breathwork, I've been curious about it, but it's like, okay, Leah, you don't have to try every sample at Costco. It's kind of like, okay, you're into, Martha Beck and Byron Katie, just because everybody else is doing breathwork. Like it might be great, it might not. And then when I actually did it for myself, I was like, ooh, this one, it also just seems really simple too.
Well,
I think some of the Joe Dispenza when
I started. Like when I started 15 years ago, there was no Joe Dispenza out in the. I mean, he was working, he was doing his thing, but he wasn't popular. There was no Wim Hof. Nobody was doing breath work, and I started. I was the first guy to put this on like Facebook ads and Instagram ads, and I took a lot of heat. And I'm not a woo woo guy, so people were like coming at me like all kinds of shit, right? And like I had to learn, like, okay, you can't fight people in the comments. Like it's so stupid. I love what Mike Tyson says that, social media has made people too comfortable with disrespecting other people without getting punched in the face. And I was, because I'm from Boston. I'm like, you would never say that to my face, what you just said on social media. Right.
Yeah.
But my thing is like, yeah, I get it. You think it's bullshit. I will comp you a class, come do it, but really do it. And then tell me it's bullshit afterwards. Because the thing that I love about this style of breathwork, what I do is the more skeptical you are, the bigger the release. If I can get you to breathe. Like I've had guys come to my class whose wives have dragged them to my class. They like, my husband would never do this kind of shit, but I'm going to make him do this with you because you're a guy and I think he'll have an experience. And then I see that guy in my class, right? And I'm like, I could see him rolling his eyes as I'm explaining the whole process of what's going to happen. And I'm like, that's my fucking guy. I'm going to crack that dude open. And sure enough, they have a huge experience, huge emotional release. And in the lobby afterwards, they're like, hey man, my wife dragged me to this. I thought it was bullshit, but can I give you a hug? And I'm like, sure. And they give you a hug and they start crying on me in the lobby. And it's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone had been here when it was a very vulnerable moment, after you experience it and you're winding down from it, it's kind of like having gone through whitewater rapids and then your boat is safely moored and you're just sitting on the edge and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a ride. It's a ride. People liken it
That's
to
why-
psychedelics a lot, ayahuasca, which is
Yes.
really big. And I'm not, they ask me like, what's the difference? I go, well, the difference for me is I can do breath work on a Tuesday afternoon and then go pick up my kids from school. I don't have to be in the jungle puking into a bucket
And
with a bunch of strangers.
well, it's free
Yeah, it's
and
free.
legal. And
I think it's best first thing in the morning, like before everyone gets up. So if you are going to do this for yourself, you take that time for yourself, you get up early and you go, you know what? I'm going to get up early, whatever that is. Oh my God, it's 6 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock, whatever. And do a breathwork class for yourself before everyone gets up. See, here's what changed my life is I did it first thing in the morning. And I didn't always do that full class that you did. Sometimes I would just go 3 songs, John Paul. That's all you got to do is 3 songs. And it would turn off that bullshit noise in my head, the shit talk I had, the negative whatever. And I would go into my day a different person. Sometimes I did more than 3 songs. I did a half an hour or I did whatever. But I would go into my day a different person because I don't know why. Sometimes I wake up with this K-fuck radio in my head and it's talking shit to me and it's negative and it tells me you can't do this or you can't do that or, whatever it is. I have this beautiful life. I have a beautiful wife and 2 amazing kids and we're in the hot tub and we're having fun and the dog is running around the yard and my wife loves me. It's this perfect life. And then I go to bed and I wake up and my kids are fighting. The dog is shit on the carpet. My wife is mad at me for something I did in her dream. And I'm like, what happened to my life? Well, I was asleep. It's the same.
yeah, who shook the Etch-a-Sketch?
Yeah. What happened, So what I would do is I'd get up early. You don't always have to get up early, but I'm saying I would get up early. I got up early for a year and I did breath work and it changed how I went into every single day. Eventually rewired all my shit. And I just started showing up as a different person in my life. It's good because it changes how you go into your day as a human being.
Yeah, incredible.
And that class is an intense session. Every session you do doesn't have to be that intense. You can, like I was saying, you can do a 15-minute session, 3 or 4 songs, and just change how you feel. And then come back to what you're grateful for, what you love, what's important to you, and then go into your day with that. So you can do it in 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be a full hour. A lot of people come to my live class because they want that. They want that commitment. They want that connection. They want to be held accountable. They want me watching them breathe. They want me to shout at them, come on, Leah, you've done harder shit in your life than lay on the floor and breathe. Let's go. They want that.
Yeah, I liked it. I did like it as well.
That's why I have a lot of people that come on Sunday. And then a lot of people do the replay too. It's like some people just can't make it because they're in a different time zone or they've got their kids' soccer game or whatever they've got going on. So they sign up and they do the replay when they can do it, or they do it several times throughout the week because you can do the replay a few times. You don't have to just do it once. So that's why it's convenient. That's why I set it up like that.
Well, I can't say enough good things about it because it removed so many layers of varnish and years of, you just don't realize how it builds up. And then you just scratch enough of the layers of paint and grime, and then you see the natural wood, the beauty, the glow, and you go, oh, and then
you wonder why someone ever painted over it in the first place.
Yes.
There's like this beautiful thing underneath, and you're like, this is amazing. This is a happy accident. Like I remember pulling up carpet one time in this apartment. It had these beautiful parquet hardwood floors. I'm like, oh my God, who would ever cover these over? These are magnificent, right? And that's what, it's such a great analogy you've come up with there. That's what breathwork does, is it strips away all the layers that you've put over it. Somebody said something shitty. Somebody did this. Somebody broke your heart. Your father was a jerk over here. Whatever. It all just gets stacked on that heart, and we strip that away. And if we want to, we can live in a different place with an open heart. And it's not always easy, but it is worth it for me.
I really appreciate the way that you put that, and especially that you gave specific examples of things that people hold on to. If there's anybody who is a confident, arrogant prick like me, I'm very Pollyanna and chipper. My limiting beliefs usually, like, I can't think of any grudges that I have towards anyone. And maybe in your breathwork class, I realized that if not a grudge, there's still like a damage there of like something that somebody said to me that I actually do hurt about, even though I haven't held on to it. But I would say what is appealing to me about the breathwork is the insight. So your thing about being in comedy and screenwriting and getting so close and getting so close. And you're like, I know I have the id factor, but there's so many things beyond my control. And then Matthew saying to you, this is your calling. Like you can help people. That strength to go, I don't give an F what people, I can swear on my podcast, but I think it's funnier to just say the letter. But that you can turn and walk away from that and go, yeah, my peers might go, oh, he gave, it's like, it's not about them. It's about me. To me, I'm actually looking more for that kind of confidence to trust in the decisions I'm making, because I tend to not care that much about, oh, that guy's a jerk or this, or why did I do this thing?
Those peers that might say like, oh, he gave up on his dreams. Are they the ones that are living in a studio apartment at 50 years old with a cat, miserable about their life?
I know. Well, and that's, if I could be really honest with you, I love stand-up comedy, but there's like a life coach kind of part of me, but I don't want to be a life coach. I don't really talk about my woo-woo stuff on stage. This gives me an outlet to talk about it, but I like it because so much of comedy is complaining. And I'm in Byron Katie land. I'm like,
it's funny because I want to do the opposite.
I'm in love with reality.
I want to do the opposite. I want to do stand up just so I can go up on stage and complain and
just to get your id out, like your Jung, your shadow side.
Yeah, well, I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu for that. I get to strangle people, which is really nice. But I feel like I have all these jokes that would be like I could just crush. I know I could write a 20-minute set or whatever and get up there and crush it. The problem is now I've gotten too comfortable in my life where I'm like, I cannot be in a shit hotel in like Milwaukee for a 20-minute set. Like I'm too comfortable.
It's the lifestyle thing. And it's like, I love making people laugh. I hate social media. I hate what it's done to people. So if I have to grow an audience on there, that's a bridge I'm not willing to cross. I know it is harmful and I will not join that rat race. And I even have reservations about paying someone else to do it because I'm still, they're in it and now I'm supporting this. So then it's like, okay, well, that's what you got to do. Can I scale this thing without having to do the destructive things? And I think with your breath work, it's like these insights. And I feel like I've gotten
insights not just
from
about
other kinds of
release.
things. Yeah.
There is like creative downloads that come in that will go like, oh my God, Leah, if you did this, because that's how I created my training. That's how I had the idea to put it online. That's how there are these downloads that come in and go, oh my God, what if I did this? What if I did comedy and life coaching, which Kyle Cease was one of the first guys to do that. I don't know if you know who Kyle Cease is, of course, right? But like, just look him up. I mean, he combines the two, but you get these downloads, these ideas and that come in through the breath work because you're turning off the part of your brain that goes, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody's interested in that. The critic, you turn off the critic.
Yeah.
And when you turn off the critic,
it's the front left lobe.
You can allow the creative forces to come in and go, oh my God, what if I did this? What if I combined these two things and created this? Or what if I even just an idea for a social media reel or a Substack or whatever it is, like, oh, what if I did this on my podcast? And so there is some incredible creative juices that start flowing from this breath work.
I absolutely see that. I think the appealing part to me, like I would say it comes down to self-trust and learning, when it's like follow your inner wisdom or, Martha Beck's, I've read her book, The Way of Integrity and Steering by Starlight and all of those, finding your true north. I'm an enthusiastic person. I freaking love everything. I love doing this podcast. I love being on stage. I love designing products. I love dyeing and sewing my own clothes. And so then I'm like, okay, what if I had a YouTube channel where I dyed clothes and then I went to thrift stores and I like commented and then I had like my stage clips. It's like, pick a lane, lady.
I know.
So
I'm the same.
for me, it's more of a clarity. I'm like, I really hope I don't get more comedy ideas. What I want for my breathwork is frickin' book your shows and get out on the road and stop thinking about how it would be fun to make a YouTube channel dubbing over your cockatiel's voice with old Shakespeare actors. Like,
listen,
stop,
I want to do a
so
character
Yeah.
that is like a Boston, healer guy, and he's like, "Oh my God, your chakras they're all out of alignment."
Yeah,
guy.
you're Bill Burr. You're enlightened Bill Burr. There you go.
Yeah,
There's your
exactly.
stage name.
But like that was what, one of my friends who's like a very successful movie producer told me, is like, your problem is you're very good at a lot of things. Like you're not just a little good, you're really good at all these things. And so, you have to pick something and focus in on it,
Yeah,
It's
well,
like,
if that's the case, then pick the thing that has the best lifestyle. And the comedy lifestyle is shit.
yeah,
If I
I've
don't
been
want
on
to
the
worry
road
about
with,
other
bands and movie stars, and I've traveled all over the world, first class, and it's still exhausting. I've done it.
Yeah,
I've been with
yes.
the Justin Biebers and the Matthew Perrys and all these stars. Like I've done it, and it's exhausting. I have a great life. I love what I do. And there was before COVID, I was like booked at all these different big events, Steve Harvey's event, and it was booked for all these events. And I was like, oh my God, I'm doing all these things and I'm gone all the time. And my kids, I'm not even seeing my kids. And then COVID shut everything down, and I freaked out and I was bummed. But guess what? I was already online. I had all my courses online. So I would do my class every Sunday. And then it went from 15 people to 250 people. And then they were buying all my courses. And then I just got to spend all this time with my family. And I went, this is amazing. This is fantastic.
That's the dream.
And then last year, I didn't say this, I got to do a class for Tony Robbins in one of his events. It came full circle back around. They reached out to me and they're like, oh my God, we've heard amazing things about you. We want to know if you want to do this life mastery event. I go, do you know my Tony Robbins story? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh my God, Tony like changed my life 15 years ago. And so it was like this big full circle moment for me. And so what I do now, and my students, when I teach people how to teach this breath work, I certify students how to teach it. I go, you have no idea how much purpose, how much fulfillment you're going to get out of doing this work. Whether it's working with one person one-on-one or doing a class or a couple session, you feel amazing afterwards. You see somebody release all their shit and they're like, oh my God, that was life-changing. It gives you purpose. It gives you fulfillment. It changes your life, changing someone else's life. It's incredible. I'm doing something that's purposeful, that's meaningful, that's amazing. Making fun of myself and other people on stage for 20 minutes. I would love that. It would be super fun for me, but I don't, again, I don't want to be in a double tree hotel.
Scalable. Yeah, it's scalable. You don't have to travel and you're having this massive impact. And I think that's the thing with comedy. Now that I know how to tell jokes and make people laugh, which is a big part of the gig, it's like, what do you actually want to say? I might mention something to somebody, go, that's funny. You should say that on stage. I'm like, I get so few minutes. Of all the thoughts that I have, I'm going to waste it on the way that Wawa puts sauce on their hoagie. No, I wasn't trying to write jokes about Byron Katie, but I wanted jokes about, because I would love more people to know about her.
Yeah.
And just trying to figure out how to do it without making it as a TED Talk, without being didactic or preachy. I don't know. I'm like, maybe that's the thing. But those are the kinds of answers I think that I get through meditation, through breath work, through what I call clarity walks, which are just walks without any devices, sound, just going on a long walk and letting my mind wander. I wanted to recommend people to try your classes because I think it's simple, easy, effective, portable.
Because you're a badass, you're an athlete, you're going to push through. But a lot of people are not. Like that first 10 minutes.
I would have freaked out if I would have done that for free by myself. I would have freaked out.
First 10 minutes, your brain fights you and it doesn't want you to do this. So if it's free, a lot of people will just be like, I'm good. This isn't for me. And they close the computer and they walk away and they go, breathwork sucks. It's weird. I don't like it. But if you have skin in the game, if you paid a little bit of money, it's $20 your first time, which is a burrito now. If Tony Robbins says, if you don't pay, you don't pay attention. I really believe that. And so I have to pay to do breath work a lot of the time because I need somebody to push me and I need the accountability. So I've gone to my students' classes and they're like, you don't have to pay. I'm like, no, I have to pay. Like I need some skin in the game.
Yeah,
here,
the accountability.
Right?
Yeah. Sorry,
but once you
when
learn
I said
it,
free,
in
terms of the skill, like if you're traveling or something and you need to do it, or you feel, I could really use this.
Yeah, you can do it on your own all the time for free. And I did for a year. And I have a course, I have a course called the 5-Day Emotional Detox, and it has downloadable tracks in there that you can download onto your phone and you can just do those forever as long as you want. And they're different lengths. There's like 12 minutes or 15 or 20 minutes, whatever. And so you could, like you said, take it with you and do it wherever. Yes.
Yeah, there definitely, I think, was an added element. And it's why I didn't didn't try breath work sooner, because I knew I could just go on YouTube and find some stuff, but that it was going to be kind of So when you and I first started chatting about doing a podcast together, I was like, yeah, I will do this because this is somebody who knows their stuff. They've worked with a lot of people, and I'm going to get the best introduction to this thing so that I can decide, yeah, it's good, or yeah, it's just kind of hype.
And I've had a lot of people come to my class and say, oh my God, I did breathwork before, but it didn't do anything. And then I did your class and I had this incredible experience. And it's because I push the energy pretty hard, because I do the presentation, because I've spent 15 years of my life making this class incredible in every way that I can. Like I've perfected this class. I don't know another way to make it any better. I've perfected the class and I don't know how to make it any better. It's my life's work, like Byron Katie's life work, right? It's like she's a master at what she teaches. And so I feel like I'm hitting that point in my life where like, yeah, I don't know how to make this class any better. I just need people to show up and have the experience and keep changing as many lives as I can with this incredible breath work.
Yeah. Thank you for teaching me. I look forward to joining another class. I will try to do it in my closet. Like a little short one.
And I hope someday you can come out of the closet as a breath worker.
Yes. Well, I have gay friends that think my lesbian friends are like, you're probably gay. So they would love that. They would love to hear that I came out of the closet. I've told them I don't think complaining about the way my husband does the dishes makes me a lesbian, but I find it flattering that you want me to join the team.
I've had a lot of
happy
people try
Pride
and
Month
convert me over the years as well.
Happy Pride Month, everybody, by the way.
Happy Pride.
Okay, I'm curious about, so we know you have your website, which is breathewithjp.com.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
But then you told me about these tracks that you can also listen to. The classes are going to be on your website. Are the tracks there as well?
No, they're on another website, but you can still find them through breathewithjp.com. So you would go to Breathe with JP and you'd click on online courses, and that would take you to my other website where all the online courses are hosted there.
Okay. You've got online classes, you've got coach training.
Yep.
You've got
teacher training. I do certifications.
Teacher training.
Yep. I do those in person. I do those online as well. Those are self-paced online courses, or I do it in person twice a year in California.
Is there anything else that you want people to know, to look for, that you want to mention before we end?
I would say, have an open mind, be willing to do something different. Everybody thinks they have an open mind. Even the most closed-minded people on the planet are like, I'm open-minded. And I'm like, come try a breath work. And they're like, no, I'm good. I'm like, well, then you're not open-minded. Stop saying that, So I'm like, come try a breath work. It's hard to wrap your brain around something I've been doing my whole life since I was born unconsciously is going to change my life, is going to be, it's going to do all these things that we just spent an hour and a half talking about. It's going to do all these things. You can't wrap your brain around it. So you have to actually do it to find out for yourself. I say, like, have an open mind, come try a class, be willing to do something different for a shift in your life, for a change in your life, for yourself, and just show up and do a class and see what happens. You're worth it.
Yeah. And the worst that could happen is you do it and you don't like it, but I think I'd always wonder, and maybe that's why I share mine, because I think it's worth it to try it. And I was someone who was kind of skeptical, but I had a lot of people that I liked and respected that I thought were smart or fun or kind, and they liked it. If this is the nudge that you needed to try breathwork, I'm going to fully endorse John Paul, because I thought it was great. So
thank you so much.
Thanks for helping me clean out my gutters, for rip up the old shag carpet laden with dust and hair and asbestos and whatever garbage, to reveal the heart pine of who I am underneath. So thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on today. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening to the Leah Renee podcast. If you'd like to help me grow the old-fashioned way, but without having to bow to the likes of social media, visit my website, leahrenee.co. And as always,
go to bed early, you doofus.